Hey, I'm Morris. Welcome to my show, everybody. Hey, I'm Morris Lilienthal. One of the things that really amazes me about some people is the way they can always be positive about something and how no matter the adversity they face and things that are obstacles that are going on in their life, they always seem to have an outlook. It's just, hey, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get over this. I'm going to make the best of this. Now, we've all been around people that don't have that attitude and they really drag us down. And so I really like to surround myself with people that have that positive attitude, that always see that glass as half full. So our guest today is just one of those people that always seems to see the half glass full, and he really makes the best of his situation and tries to uplift others around him. So our guest today is Beau Cowan. Beau is a friend of mine that I've met on social that I really enjoy seeing his posts on social media because they're so uplifting and watching him push on and push through the things that he faces in his life. Beau was born with cerebral palsy and loves to share his story with others and share his stories by speaking to groups and sharing things on social media to uplift others and inspire others. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let me formally introduce Beau. Beau is a resident of Chesapeake, Virginia. He attended Old Dominion University where he studied communications. He loves baseball. It's my understanding he's a Cowboys fan. So I'm not sure how happy and uplifting he's been since the 90s because they hadn't won a championship, but maybe Dak Prescott and the boys can pull something out for Beau this year. It's also my understanding Beau is a coffee addict, that he's got to have his Starbucks fix and get it in. So he's a big Starbucks guy. So I certainly understand that coffee need. So Beau, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. So we were talking about being positive and being uplifting. So we got to share with everybody because we're having to record this interview right now. So you were sharing with me that technology was letting you down today with your phone, with your wheelchair.
Yeah.
We certainly go try to kick over live to do this interview live on Facebook. And just as soon as we do, and even though it worked 3 hours ago for me, it's not working now. But you know what we're doing? We're living up to your motto. We're going to make the best of it, and we're going to push through this thing. Okay, bud?
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it because
So
I'm ready.
if you're watching the interview here, and I know you're watching it recorded because we couldn't record it live. So if you're watching the interview and you got questions for Beau, or you want to give us feedback, or you have just something you want to say to us, just put the questions in the comments. We'll be monitoring the feed, later on, and we'll get back to any questions you have, and would love to get your feedback on today's interview. And please share the interview out. So Beau's message of positivity and the things that he's going to share in today's interview really can get the word out to others that need to hear this message. I think it's such an important message. Beau, I guess where I would start is just kind of tell us a little bit, what is cerebral palsy? And from your perspective, I'm sure it impacts each person with the condition a little differently. But tell us how this impacts you.
Um, First of all, I was cerebral palsy is due to lack of oxygen at birth or an accident at birth, and which in my case was um, without partial oxygen for 5 minutes, which caused me to um, have cerebral palsy, and my mom had a placenta previa that ruptured and causing her to lose all but 1 pint of her blood, and then it caused me to have oxygen deprivation, which caused me to not be able to walk and not be able to function, quote unquote, normally. So that's what happened originally when I was born.
Right. So, what I understand then is some of the limitations that you have due to this condition are a lot of physical limitations that you can't get up and walk around like some people have, and I think you have some limitations not only with your legs but maybe with your arms and hands as well.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Can
My the main reason why I can't walk is because I can't overcome the muscle tone that I always have. My arms, my legs and arms are always charging, and not being and I can never relax. So I can't overcome the tone to be able to walk. And but it's a double-edged sword. If I have too less of tone, I'm a wet noodle. So they got to kind of monitor that from a medical standpoint to figure out where I'm at that day. in the summertime, I'm pretty loose because it's 95 degrees outside, and it's gets me going. But in the wintertime, it's 40, and I have to give me more medication or less medication or whatever. But generally, the reason why I can't walk is because, and I struggle so much, is because I can't overcome the tone of that I have always going through my body
Right.
to be able to walk.
Okay. And one as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, I know that you're real active on social media, and that's how we connected. And I know that one of the recent videos that you shared, you kind of took your viewers and your fans and followers through what a morning was like for you, and how sometimes how people like myself take for granted just putting a shirt on.
Yeah.
And can you kind of
Um,
share for us what your morning's like, and how the things that you have to overcome just to get out of bed and get dressed to go get your coffee at Starbucks?
um, I you know I can get up. I literally sometimes I literally in the wintertime I literally fall out of bed and lay there for 5 minutes just to make sure I loosen up because it's so cold outside that it takes me 5-10 minutes to loosen up, and then basically crawl. I make sure all my limbs are there, and I make sure I'm alive, I'm breathing. I make sure everything's fine, and then I just crawl into the bathroom, and crawl into the bathroom, do what I gotta do, go to the bathroom. Like I lift myself up, like I'm on the floor. I crawl in there because I don't want to get my wheelchair to go 5 feet. So I crawl in there, and then I lift myself up on the vanity, and then transfer myself to the toilet, to go to the bathroom, and then I get off the toilet, and then I just crawl back in here. I crawl back in my room, and and start doing what I'm doing um, until like I have help obviously come in and help me in the morning because it takes me sometimes 2 hours to do everything that I need to do by myself, and some things I can't do by myself. So I have people come in and help me, but it's just I can do certain stuff. It just takes me forever. So
Yeah.
I have people come in and help me every day, 2 hours a day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, just to make sure I'm okay. But it's I can do some stuff, but it just takes so much time and energy for me to do it. And if I have to totally get myself dressed, it takes me 2 hours, and I don't have 2 hours. Like I'm literally I wake up in the morning and I'm literally eat breakfast, and then I'm gone. I don't stay in the house because I got other stuff I got to do. I don't want to deal with I get depressed when I'm in the house too long. Like if it rains for 2-3 days and I'm in the house because the wheelchair and water don't mix. I electric wheelchair and water don't mix. Then I get depressed, and then as soon as it stops raining, I'm gone. Like I'm done because I don't like to stay in the house.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you either. I don't like to get cabin fever either. But that really just I think a lot of people, I'd say a lot, I'd say most people, unless they have some disability or live with someone or have a close family member or friend, have a real appreciation for something that I take for granted, of getting out of bed and running to the bathroom and getting dressed and being out the door in a few minutes and doing. And
Yeah,
that for you, that is, there's a lot going on involved in that, and
yeah,
I think we take that for granted. You
yeah.
know,
Like with oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, you go ahead.
With help, I can I can get dressed and take a shower, and I can get undressed, take a shower, and get dressed and be gone in an hour, but or hour and a half. But there's no waking up, leaving at 9, waking up at 8:30 and being gone. It takes me a while to to do what I got to do what I got to do and stuff like that. Like and people are just are amazed that I do it what I do, but like I'm just so used to it. Like this is my whole life. I've been doing it my whole life, so that's just what I do.
Yeah, that's your world.
Yeah.
But one of the things, one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on as a guest today, and one of the things that I really admire about you is your positivity, and how you try to stay upbeat. And certainly, I think, I've seen some of your posts that, you have ups and downs just like everybody else has ups and downs and doings. And sometimes it seems like Murphy's Law kicks in and we can't catch a break. And we were laughing before we went on. start recording the show. That seems like you're having one of those days today where your wheelchair
Yeah.
battery cut out on you and your cell phone battery was not wanting to charge. And we get on here to record this interview, and we're excited about having you on Facebook Live and doing it. And it worked 2 hours ago for me, and now it's not working for me. But you seem to keep a positive spin on that. Where does that come from, Beau? Where does your inner core to be positive and try to be upbeat as best you can come from?
It comes from quite frankly, survival. Like I don't have time. Like I've got so much crap and just BS going on in my life that I don't have time to be negative, like all negative all the time. Like I have my down moments like everybody else, but it's like I don't have time to be negative. I don't have time to be just this negative Nancy. I don't because it's like I'm so far out in front of my situation. I was in negative and denial for the longest time about being in a wheelchair. Like I was like I did not want to share my story for the longest time, but I was like I'm gonna be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life unless a miracle happens. So I might as well get out in front of it and wear it with a badge of honor and just get out in front of it because it's not gonna change.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's so inspiring and uplifting, though, because I think a lot of people don't look at life that way. They see somebody else, and they always see, as they say, the pastor's always greener on the other side, and they look and they say, well, I want that, or why can't I be like that? And you may never be able to be like that because of your situation, whether it's physical or whatever other issues that you have. And I think the fact that you understand and have come to the realization, hey, I want to make the best life I can for Beau, and let me make the most of what I've got and the best of what I've got. And then along the way, hopefully I can inspire and help others. And I think that's what I understand you're wanting to do.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And like I was such in a deep place of resentment and I prayed every night for the longest time when I was like 16, 17 years old that I would wake up and be quote unquote cured of being in a wheelchair, that I prayed to God to cure me for being in a wheelchair. And then once that prayer was never answered, I was like, I've got to get out in front of it because I'd be miserable, and I can't live my life being miserable. Like I just can't because I was so far down deep into that when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old, like the whole like high school age thing when when you get
Right.
all like whatever, and then I was like I can't be negative anymore. I gotta because if I stay get too deep in there in my negative thoughts, I won't get out again, and that's why I'm so positive because it's for self preservation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you've been on the other side of that, and that doesn't. And my assumption is that you realize that doesn't get you anywhere. That you're dealt the hand you're dealt, and now you can't do anything about that other than trying to improve it as much as you can within your means. But I think you improve the quality of your life by being positive, by taking advantage of what you do have that's in your favor, which is your intelligence, which is your personality and your sense of humor and those kinds of things to help your life and also help others. So that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that because there are a lot of times that I see people that you think have advantages or do, and they just are always down, man. They just seem to be always down on themselves or down on life. Or I think you and I were talking the other day when we were setting up everything for our interview today that, how it frustrates you. And I know it does me, and it probably does for a lot of people watching or listening to this show, that they get down. But you see people that are just having what I call first world problems. They get all upset and get agitated and hacked off about something that, to be honest with you, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, move on, get over with. And I think you having the perspective that you have and what the challenges and things that you face on a daily basis, I'm sure that probably rubs you the wrong way sometimes too.
Well, I try not to let it rub me the wrong way, but it does
Yeah.
sometimes. Because like I've got other worries, but it's like I want to I want to be like, what is your problem? Like I literally want to go up to somebody and be like, what is your problem? Like what like why are you complaining? Like why are you complaining that your boyfriend broke up with you or that your girlfriend broke up with you when you can put one foot in front of the other?
Right.
You know what I mean? And as we as convoluted, not convoluted, but as simple as that is, like I just want to be I just want to say that to some people, like, and I have, but it's like why are you complaining? Like you can put one foot in front of the other. Like why? Like I mean, and
Yeah.
like there's like some people I know that are way worse than me, and they and then like I'm not. So like if I feel bad one day and I'm in a lot of pain and I'm like I can't I allow myself to be in that moment, but I don't dwell on it because I know there's people that are way worse than me and don't have the opportunities that I do, and
Right. Right. Right.
that's the thing.
That's awesome. Well, talk to me a minute about I know one of the things that you want to do is and that you've been working on for the last little while now is getting out and trying to speak to others and to spread your message either through actually in-person talks or interviews and then using social media as a platform to get your story out. And that's what we're doing today. But talk to me if you meet and you may have done this, Bo, but if you meet a young person that is in the teenage years or younger that is facing some of the same things that you're going through and have gone through, what do you say to them? What advice would you give to them that you now, having 20 years later, can look back and probably help them?
This is gonna sound really harsh, and it's gonna be sound really mean, but it's the truth. It's gonna suck. Like their life's gonna suck because it's you have to work 20 times as hard to do as much. I mean, to do the same task somebody else does, and you may not be able to do it. You know what I mean? So I wrote a piece. I wrote a piece on Medium that I posted a couple of weeks ago, and it says a letter to the parents of of a person with a physical disability, and I said that, and I said like it's gonna suck. You're gonna get to tell them that you're gonna get teased unmercifully because they don't understand. Tell them that it's just gonna be horrible. But you've got to teach them that they're better than that. That they have to have the guts to withstand it because it'll be even more and more special. And when you get older, they'll start to realize that those people didn't understand what they're going through, and as they mature, they'll understand that that they that they can have meaningful relationships outside of high school, because high school in the grand scheme of things is 4 years of your life, and people think, when I was in high school, like it didn't even dawn on me that that there was more stuff was other than high school. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it sucked. I mean, it literally. I mean, I was fine. I was. I mean, I didn't get asked to the prom. I didn't get. I didn't do anything else. I didn't get anywhere. I didn't get asked to go to parties. I didn't do anything. And it really was hard on me. But now looking back on it, almost 20 years later, it's like that is just so in. It was such a small, minute part of my life. Like I'm done. Like you know what I mean. I still keep up with some people in high school, but most of them I don't keep up with because they didn't know get to know me or get to or whatever. They were just in their own head. And I understand. Like that's just high school, like immature BS. That's fine. But it's
Yeah.
like I'm good with I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that now.
But what I hear you saying, Bo, what I read, knowing you, having gotten to know you a little bit online and talking to you some today and before, is that if you were speaking to these children, is that you would talk to them and their parents to prepare them for reality that this everything's not going to quote unquote magically, as you may have
Yeah,
hoped one day wake up and whatever your disability is, it very well likely will not go away. So you
no,
need to be prepared for that reality,
yeah,
but then make the most of what you have. Because if
yeah,
you're prepared for that, knowing, okay, this is what we're facing with this challenge or this issue or whatever diagnosis or problem they have, don't be in denial and think that it's going to be, magically go away. There are going to be tough times. They're going to suck. It's going to take you, if you need to leave at 9 o'clock, whereas most people could get up at 8:15 or 8:30. You might have to get up at 7, and that's probably never going to change.
yeah,
But with your example there, but understanding that, hey, you can still have a good quality of life. You can still impact and make a difference in others' lives.
yeah,
But you've got to be prepared for that. It's all not going to be, roses and doing. And that's kind of what I feel like you're saying there.
yeah,
And it's tough at a young age as a teenager. I can't imagine trying to come to that understanding at that age. And that's why I think,
yeah,
you sharing your story now and having young people and their parents understand the difficulties and mountains that they face, but don't run from those mountains and don't fall back in the valleys. Work on climbing that mountain.
yeah. And to be honest with you, like don't sugarcoat stuff. Like don't sugarcoat stuff. Just be honest and tell them it's gonna suck. I mean, literally, it's gonna suck. And that's the problem. Like they say they say, well, little Johnny can be the best, be anything he wants to be. It's like, so when I grew up, when I was growing up, I wanted to be an NBA basketball star, NBA player. I wanted to be, I wanted to be the next Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, and as soon as I realized that I couldn't do that, I was, and I was at peace with it, and then I figured, well, I can't be that, so I might as well try something else. Try something else.
Right. Right.
That's what I.
Well, but I think your position there is true and translates over to everybody. That I think some of the things in life that I think, and one of the things that I try to do as a lawyer, in my practice, is one of the things that I always tell my clients is whatever we do, we're going to tell the truth. And when I speak to them about their case or their issue, and a lot of times it's really really bad, unfortunate circumstances, and I said, look, I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm not going to sugarcoat it because I want you to hear it how I perceive it, how I think it's going to come out, because that's how I think you deserve to be told, and I think that's how you'll be able to better handle the situation.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what you're saying here is that, look, this is what you're facing, with this condition. So be realistic about it. Don't believe that you're gonna be, Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Steph Curry. But what can you be with the hand that you're dealt? Because if you wallow in it, you can't do anything. But if you pull yourself up and make the best of it, you can probably do a lot more than you thought you could have.
Yes, exactly.
So if you're just joining us now and you're watching This Is the Most Show Live, this is our guest today is Beau Cowan. Beau is passionate about sharing his story and living with cerebral palsy and how to inspire others and to make the most out of what your life can offer you and make the best of your opportunities no matter what challenges you face. And Beau certainly lives that talk and does that, and is certainly a must follow on social media, at least for me, he is. But, one of the things that we talked about the other day when preparation, which is kind of funny that I wanted to talk about this today when technology totally is letting you and me down today. But, one of the things you mentioned was that you thought you were fortunate that you were born, in today's times, not 50, 60, 75 years ago with your condition, that how technology, having an electric wheelchair, having the internet and a cell phone really allows you to maximize your capabilities, maximize your mobility that, people 50, 60 years ago wouldn't have had. And you know what? I really never thought about that.
Yeah. And like here it is. Like this is my whole life. Like I spend so much time ever since Apple put that timestamp thing on it or whatever. Like I don't want to look at it, but I'm like like 12, 13 hours, like 10, 12, 13 hours a day on this thing, you know, and like with the technology that's going that it has like right now, like I'm I'm so far able to do stuff like my wheelchair. Like if I was born 50, 60 years ago with my condition, I would be put in a wheelbarrow, or or put in a or no 100 years ago. 100 years ago, I would have been put in a wheelbarrow and locked put in an insane asylum. So technology's really helped me out because it's just whatever. Like I can literally go. I drive my wheelchair probably by myself without going take relying on somebody to take me. I can go 5 mile radius around my where I live. Okay, 5 mile radius I can go. So I can go to like Starbucks. I can go to Target. I can go to Harris Teeter. I can go to my doctors. My thing. But knowing, but with this cell phone, I can go anywhere. Like I have friends in Australia, or I have friends in Australia, England, wherever. So this cell phone to me is a godsend because it helps me broaden my horizon and and learn because to be honest with you, it's gonna be hard as what for me to be able to go those places and do those things.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
you know what I mean. So I'll get on Instagram or I'll get on Twitter Live or Periscope or whatever and just watch and just enjoy it because
Mm-hmm.
there's not it'll be hard, it'll be really hard for me to go explore those places. I mean, not that I can't, but it's like I gotta make sure my wheelchair can fit in the overhead. I mean, not overhead, underneath and all that stuff. So it's just like what and it's just a pain in the butt to have to bring in another a wheelchair and stuff like that. So this right here is my thing. Like, and then like I have a wheelchair now that will stand or will recline and tilt a little bit. But I'm ordering one right now that will actually help me stand up and put me
Okay.
in a standing position to alleviate some pressure issues that I'm having. So that's the process. I'm in the process of ordering that, and that would not have happened 10 years ago. Like literally, the first wheelchair I had was a wheel. It was just terrible. Like it was just old. Like it looked like an Atari joystick. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
now
Right. Right.
now the joystick looks like a space shuttle.
A fighter jet, yeah.
A
Well,
fighter
like I
jet.
said, technology is great, and I hadn't really thought about that until we were talking about this the other day. That I can't, you know, technology. While you still have so many challenges that you deal with, and a lot of other people with disabilities deal with. Technology has made things much more accessible to you, and made you able to take advantage of certain experiences that, like you said, 30, 40, 50, not even maybe 5 years ago,
Yeah,
that you wouldn't have been able to do. Now, all that is assuming it's working right, right?
yeah, yeah. And that's the downside. But 9 times out of 10, it works.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I
right.
mean?
That's right.
But like,
That's right.
and like to be honest with you, they had to fix my wheel. They had to fix something on my wheelchair, so they had to take the wheelchair to the repair shop. And it's only 5 miles down the road, and they're only gone for 3 or 4 hours. And I was without my wheelchair, and I got in. It's like as much as I hate, as much as that thing is an albatross to me. If it's not around, then I'm like, where is it? Like you know what I mean? As much as I have a love hate relationship with it, like I'm sad that I don't have it. Like you know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
Because like literally, I'm either in my wheelchair or on the floor or in bed because I spend 12, 13 hours a day in my wheelchair.
right.
So when that's not there, I'm I get when I named her Black Beauty because she's all black. But when she's not there, I get upset. You know what I
Sure.
mean? It's like I have a love-hate relationship with her, like I said.
Well, that's your mode of transportation, mode of
Yeah,
independence, and all
yeah,
that. I can certainly appreciate that.
yeah.
Let's kind of stick with that theme a little bit with technology and talk to me a little bit. Share with us about this video that you've been posting for I don't know how many days now, over 200 plus days. You've been sharing little inspirational videos and just kind of talking about what's going on with your life that day. And talk to us a minute about that and what drove you to do that and what feedback have you gotten from those videos?
Um, what inspired me to do it was Damian Ross. He's doing a video a day did a video a day for a year, and once he did a video a day for a year, he said I'm gonna do 1,000 videos in a row a day, 1,000 videos in a row. So he's on like day 455 or whatever. So I started on October 1st, and I said that I was inspired by it. So I was like, I'm gonna do a video every day for a year and see what happens because I need to get better at talking to video and talking to not talking to video, talking to the camera and talking to things. So and you know that kind of thing. So I was like, I'm gonna do a video a day for a year and see what happens. You know, so that's what I've been doing. Like I and plus
So you've been doing it for about seven, 8 months now?
Yeah, I don't know. I just put it up there. I don't know how many. You know, I think it's like 236 or 235 or whatever.
Okay.
But you know, and it's just something that I know that I need to get better at. You know, so I was like, the only way I'm going to do it is to keep doing it on a daily basis and make myself do it. So
But that's so awesome because that is something, Beau, that I've done and was done with my tips from Mo, and I've gotten to where I don't do them every day, but I still do them several days a week and doing this show. And doing this was something that I was not comfortable with doing, jumping on live video because I didn't, how I'd be perceived, how would I talk, how would I get feedback. Certainly don't know how to do the tech part of it. Was scared of that, and I'm still dealing with some of those technical issues here and there, like we are today. But I think I admire you for doing that because I've talked with a lot of people that want to do that and have the aspiration to do that, but they don't have the courage to take that leap and do. And that's really cool that you done that. I mean, talk to me a minute share with our audience about what feedback you've gotten from people on these videos and how it's made you feel.
The feedback that I've gotten is amazing is kind of amazing because like I may get a DM on Instagram or a DM on Twitter or whatever when I put them mostly out on Instagram because that's where I spend most of my time. But like and how that video helped them or how that post helped them or whatever because like it makes me feel good that I know that I'm helping people. You know what I'm saying? Like for two reasons I want to tell my story. For one, to get out in front of it and be in front of it, and for two, selfishly it makes me feel really good. Like I've gotten DMs from people from Australia, from Australia, from England, wherever, be like, oh, this is what you've done. I've gotten, or tweets or whatever saying like, wow, thank you for telling your story. You rock or whatever. So selfishly, it makes me feel really good. It's a high. Like doing this for me is awesome. Like being on a show or going out in front of people and telling my story, it really clicks over and it really makes me excited to that you even want me on this show. Like when I get DMs or like, oh, come on this show, and I'm like, why would you want me to come on your show? So I'm kind of shocked to some degree that people want me to talk to them because like I don't consider myself I don't consider myself an inspiration. For one, I'm just living my life, and if you can perceive inspiration from that, that's fine. But like, I didn't set out to be an inspiration. You know what I mean? I'm just living my life, like and I was like, but if I can, I'm so far out in front of it now. Like, if I can help somebody, and that's the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and that's what you're making the best life for you, and that's what you've decided to do. And now you're sharing your story with everybody else. through the power of social media and power of
Yeah.
speaking with others in groups. And what I think sounds like you're figuring out is your story is inspiring others, which
Yes.
in turn probably inspires you more to keep living your life and keep
Yes.
doing greater things and keep reaching for the stars. And something that you're probably doing things like these videos and like these speeches and interviews that you probably would not have thought you would have done a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, with the videos, like I literally was like when the first I started with 31 days. I started with 31 days because I was going to go from October 1st to October 31st and do 31 days of straight video. So and to be honest with you, it paralyzed me to death. Like I was scared to do it. Like literally, I was shaking like when I did it. But
Yeah.
as I got better at it and did it more often, and it got way more.
Got easier, didn't it?
It got
More
easier, way
comfortable.
easier and comfortable, and it's just a routine. So now I can do them in 2 takes instead of 20. So,
Yeah.
so you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's the whole
you,
thing.
we are in that same rowboat rowing together. I can remember vividly the first few tips from Mo I would do. I'd take this thing, I'd turn it around. I bet I shot them 8, 10 times. I get tongue tied, or if it wasn't just what I thought should have been perfect, which it still weren't.
Yeah,
I get tongue tied and twisted. Now, what I've realized is I've gotten more comfortable doing it, and I just shoot it and do it. And most of the time, I can do it in one take. And the other thing that I realized, Bo, was it didn't have to be perfect. Nobody's life is perfect.
yeah,
As long as the audio was good and the video was good enough, and it was relaying the message that I wanted to relay in that video, then I was comfortable with it. But I sure as heck wouldn't have been that way when I first started. It took
yeah.
me, weeks and months to kind of get there, and that's kind of what's so cool is that you're using the power of video and social media to share that out, and by doing that, you're inspiring other people.
And it's really to me, it's really um, a way to like I document in that moment. Like there's some certain days like I say. Like I get on there, like I literally don't think about what I'm doing, and I literally 5 minutes before I'm supposed to talk, or 2 minutes, like 2 seconds before I'm supposed to talk, I document that moment, how I feel in that moment. Like I don't, I don't, I
You're
don't.
really planning it out a lot
It's
sometimes.
not contrived. It's not anything. So like yesterday, or 2 days ago, I put out a video saying tonight was a day that I hated being in a wheelchair. Like so I put it out. I put it out there, and I woke up the next morning with all these messages: keep your head up, keep your head up, keep your head up, blah 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 blah. And then I had to go back and say I'm okay. I just had to document in that moment how I felt, because if I didn't document in that moment, then it was not authentic. Like if I was gonna cry, if I was gonna cry, I didn't want to wipe my tears. You know what I'm saying? Before I did the video.
Right.
Like there's certain times like I get so upset. Like yesterday, like my video last night or my video yesterday was about my wheelchair. Them getting the 2 dates to match on the paperwork for my insurance company, and it's been 3 months for that to happen. So I put it out there saying I need this to happen. I suffer. If they don't do their job, I suffer. So this morning, when after fighting for that for 3 months, I got a phone call from the wheelchair company saying that the 2 dates matched. Everything's fine. They're moving forward to order the new wheelchair.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. I have to be authentic in my feeling and my thing, because there's no point in being fake. Like I'm not a beauty blogger, beauty thing. I don't use filters. I don't use anything. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? So,
but I think that's what's so great about you, Bo, and what I think people identify with you is that you're raw and you're who you are. And some days you're sharing the struggles that you give, ups and downs that you give, and some days it's related to your disability. Some days it's not, it's tangentially related to your disability because we've all been there. We're trying to get something done and we're depending upon somebody else to do it, and we can't get what we need to get done until they do their dang job. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're facing with the insurance issue.
Yeah.
And then other days, you're being wrong about, your disability, and it just, hey, man, this sucks. But you pick yourself back up and do. But then other days, I see videos of you, and you're in the gym and you're flipping over freaking tires, and I don't know how the hell you're doing it. You're making me sore and hurting when I see you doing it, right? But that's so, I love the rawness of that and the genuineness of that. And then I think that's what people relate. People connect to people, and you're a person, and people really admire you for what you're doing, and how you're being real with them and sharing the positives and negatives and highs and lows. But at the end of the day, you're trying to keep it positive and you're trying to see that glass half full. And so that's what's so awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
The last thing, I don't want to be mindful of your time, and as we get ready to wrap up, the last thing I just wanted to mention real quick was that I love your sense of humor, and I love self-deprecating humor, and if you listen to me or see me talk or do that, I'll always, kind of make light of my situation, and it's being heavy set and doing, and that's just one of the struggles and the things that I'm always on a perpetual diet and do. And I just think that's a good, fun feature that I like about a lot of people. And you're good about that. I saw that, you had an article on Medium that was top 5 perks of dating a guy in a wheelchair. I just love the title. That's hilarious. And one of the funny things I don't know if it was a post that you did, or it may have been one of your daily videos that really tickled me. And I think I DM'd you about it, or commented on the post on Instagram, was that you said everybody asked you if you know their friend that's in a wheelchair. Like you guys are in some secret wheelchair club. Yeah. So I just got so tickled by that, because people do that. I can see people doing that. Like, if somebody meets me and I'm in, Florida or New York or something, and they hear I'm from Alabama, they ask me, do I know their friend in Alabama? Well, not necessarily. Yeah. So,
and then like, here's the thing, like, our good buddy Nick Rishwain said I commented the caption of that was, if the first secret of Wheelchair Club is not to talk about Wheelchair Club. So even if I did know your friend in a wheelchair, I couldn't tell you. So it's a secret club. So if I don't tell you, so that's the thing. Like and then me and Nick went back and forth about that for a good 30 minutes, just laughing about it, and it was just it was just amazing. And he kept going and kept going, and finally I said, you gotta stop, because I'm about to lose it. So so that's the thing. Like, I mean, like, I don't, like, I'm so far, I'm like, if I use humor as a coping mechanism for one. Like, if some parts of my life just suck, like, just absolutely suck, and if I wasn't so upfront about it and try to find the humor, I would be miserable. Like, I make jokes like, I fall for every girl I meet because I can't stand up, that kind of thing, or like whatever. But I don't know, like, I'm so far out in front of it, it's just ridiculous.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate how, it's certainly serious in what you're going through, and it's tough, and most of us can't even imagine. But I love the fact that you have that sense of humor about it, and that, for a lot of people, that's how they do cope with things, and you're funny on top of that too. So I think it's really good that you do that, and I admire that about you, Beau.
Yeah.
So, folks, as we wrap up here, our guest today, if you were joining us late, is Beau Cowan from Chesapeake, Virginia, who has been sharing for the last 30 plus minutes his story of living with cerebral palsy, and how he chooses to look at things on the uptick and half glass full, and how he uses social media to share his raw sense of how he's doing every day. And some days he's got rough days, and days that he's down and frustrated by by the circumstances he's dealing with. And then other days he's flipping tires and doing things in the gym that any able-bodied person would be jealous of. And so if you're out there and you need somebody to talk to, a group to inspire folks, Beau is wanting to reach out and connect with people. So please reach out to Beau and connect. We'll share his social media information in the comments below to the video. So Beau, if people want to get in touch with you to maybe do a Facebook Live or to do a podcast interview or speak to a group there locally in Virginia, can they just kind of DM you on one of the social media platforms to get up with you?
Yes, they can. DM me on Instagram or Twitter, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. Well, Beau, thank you so much for taking the time today, and I appreciate you enduring the technical difficulties that we had here, but I'm glad we could get this thing recorded and done and get this out to the masses and keep inspiring others and keep living your life and keep being true to yourself and true to everybody else. I think that's why everybody enjoys following you on social, because you're raw and you're real, and that's what's so awesome about you, and you're funny too. So Beau, thank you so much for taking time to be on the Mo Show Live today, and I'm going to keep following these videos and keep doing great things, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy.